Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Grumpy Guys Show. I'm Derek McAllister.
And I'm Ryan McAllister.
So we seem to be having some issues with with audio. I hear every noise up in Ryan's room when he moves through his microphone, but it doesn't look like it's coming through in the recording. And he said that I'm really loud, so I don't know, who knows. If we're really loud, deal with it. And it also looks like Ryan's video is frozen up, so yay!
Oh, goody.
Yeah. But we may have a short episode this week for sure. A couple of small topics in here, and really that's about it. It's one of those weeks when I take your sibling back to school, and I don't end up watching a whole lot of news, so.
Yep.
And it's probably going to end up getting worse because, well, the weather's starting to get nice, and not only am I going to want to ride, but beyond riding, it's also the pine trees just dropped a ton of pine cones this year. And I got to start cleaning that up. And, of course, there's also, with all the wind that we've had, there are branches all over, which, just so everybody is aware, we have one tree that is completely on our property. Just one. The pine trees that I just talked about it's literally like half the pine tree is mine. There's two of them. They're huge. They're probably about 36 inches in diameter. But, yeah. It's half of each of those trees that's mine. And that's it. We have no other trees besides some... There's a couple of saplings that have sprouted up. But, considering how many sticks are in the yard, it's just insane.
It is.
But, at any rate, so, enough whining about the fact that I've got some yard work to do. What do you say we dive in?
Let's jump into it.
Okay, so there's, I've made it pretty clear that I really enjoy photography, and I've gotten into it quite a bit. And along with that comes, reading articles on photography. Mm-hmm. And it's not just here that I've had this problem. I had it with something else too, but it's another paywall scheme. So, one of these sites, they post quite a few articles, and some of them are really good. Excuse me. So I end up reading them. Well, came up to this thing, said, "Oh, thank you for reading 5 articles. If you want to read any more of this article, you need to subscribe."
Of course.
And, it wouldn't bother me so much, except the page is full of ads. I mean, seriously, you're subjecting me to ads. On top of subjecting me to these ads, you're also tracking crap because you're always going to use a tracking cookie. So you're gaining all kinds of crap, and now you want me to pay more? Here's an idea. How about cutting the pay of your CEO?
No, that's unthinkable.
Seriously. I just find it ridiculous. And the worst part in the world is the CEO of this thing probably never took a damn picture in his life besides with his cell phone. Mm-hmm. But, I'm just like, enough. If they keep that crap up, then I'll stop reading articles from them.
Makes sense.
And if anybody listening, which, again, I don't think there's a whole lot of people listening, but if there is anybody listening, please let me know of a good site to go to for photography news and tips and everything. I don't want to be biased with just one or two, which is why I've got probably like 5 that I look at, but they're not necessarily the most active. You know, they a couple of them, they repost articles from other sites, which, they're sites that I've already looked at. You know, so I don't know. I'm still kind of hunting around for a decent site to view stuff. You know, I don't care if they have ads on the screen, as long as they're not going to beg and plead me to subscribe to their paper magazine. And that's what really ticks me off about that site. It's not that they want you to subscribe to their freaking website. No, they want to deliver you a paper magazine. I'm like, I don't want paper. You know, it's got nothing to do with being green. It's just, I'm not going to look at it.
Yeah.
You know, it'll sit there and get moved around until I forget that I even have this stupid thing. It's just easier to, you know, to look at it on the screen.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, well. All right, so that's really it. And it wasn't even, you know, like I said, I believe the other one was, might have been the New York Times. You know, just, oh, you've read 5 articles, you got to pay us now.
Yeah, they do.
Screw you.
They do that. It's stupid.
Like I said, I could understand if they're not going to put ads on the website. But when they're running ads on the website, you're getting your freaking money. Don't come crying to me for more.
Yep.
And if you're not getting enough with the ads on your website, then maybe you need to look at your ad model and you know, renegotiate things.
Maybe. Just maybe.
Yeah. You know, cut the pay of the executives. Either that or, here's an idea. Get rid of some executives because they're not doing anything besides going to meetings. They go to meetings to talk about what meeting they're going to next. You know, and then they sit there and cry and complain, oh, I just don't have any time. What is it that you do?
What do you do?
Your whole purpose is to go to meetings.
Exactly.
Yeah, well.
But hey, what do we know?
Yeah. So let's move on to the next topic.
What do we got?
So, they're requiring us to go back into work a bit more often now. You know, go back into the office. Which, you know, I mean, we've talked about before. They've got to justify the cost of these buildings and, you know, the cost of, I mean, in particular, the building we have here is owned by the company. But, you know, we have location in Waltham, which is just outside of Boston. We also have locations in New York City, where in both of those locations we don't own, we lease. Well, just before the pandemic, they signed a huge lease. So now they want to justify that cost. And, you know, for those in New York or Boston area, I mean, you know, they can argue their own, you know, because this might not affect them as much because they're inside a city. But New York State, in all of its brilliance, has determined that an e-bike can only be used on roads where the speed limit is 30 miles per hour or less. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Because I was looking into getting an e-bike, you know, I'll get some exercise, I'll save a ton of money, and, you know, I'll put a lot less wear and tear on my vehicle. So I was thinking, hey, you know, that's good. Yeah. And I was going to spend a decent amount of money to get one that I could ride year round, because they have them, you know, you get the fat tire bikes, and you can actually ride them on top. They stay on top of the snow. So, you know, I was like, hey, that'd be pretty cool. You know, just ride that all the time.
Yeah.
And then I started looking into it, and I found that stupid law. Because it has a motor, and of course it's limited to 28 miles per hour. Why? Not because they can't make them that go faster. No. It's limited to that because New York State said this is the limit for an e-bike on the road.
That's stupid.
Yeah, because truthfully, there's really only two things that are greener than using an e-bike. First, walk. Walk,
Obviously.
run, whatever. The second thing, actually, I guess there'd be three things. The second thing would be using a standard bicycle.
Yeah.
And the third thing is allow remote working. But, that's really got nothing to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so an e-bike would be super green. And why would it be super green? Well, because they're generally made out of material that doesn't rust very well. Like aluminum or carbon fiber. They don't rust. And so they last a long time. The batteries last a long time. There's some of them out there you can get over 100 miles on a single charge. And it doesn't take a whole lot of electricity to recharge it. It's not like you have to have some kind of special charging station. No, you plug it into the wall. So that's another place where it's cheap. Because you're not paying $1,200, $1,300 or more to have a charger installed. So I'm just like, seriously, this is dumb. What moron decided to classify this as a low-speed vehicle?
I don't know.
If I thought that I could actually find one, I'd buy an e-bike that... Hold on a second, folks. I'd find an e-bike that looks like a regular bicycle because they have some. The problem is I want something that's comfortable and, of course, something that I could ride year round. But they have them so that you can't even tell it's an e-bike. And I'm like, maybe get one of those and just ride that. Because the problem is, I'm pretty sure we've made it clear that we don't live right in the city.
Nope.
We live about 25, 30 miles taking the highway from the city. So, there's lots of space in there where it's well over 30 miles per hour. And, I'm not saying that that an e-bike should be allowed on the highway because that's just dumb.
Yeah.
28 miles per hour where traffic is generally going 65 or more. That's not safe. But, especially since bicycles aren't allowed on the highways. So, but on the roads, the regular, surface level roads, there's no reason in the world that you should not be able to ride an e-bike. And, I'll be honest with you, I'm still really, really tempted to get one and just do it anyhow.
Understandable.
Because like I said, it'd be a huge savings. You're talking, if I spend $2,000 on an e-bike, I can make that cost back with, the twice a week that we're required to be in the office. I can make the cost back in, just under 2 years. And that's based on the price of gas not going up. Which, from the time, since I did that calculation, the gas price has gone up like 20 cents a gallon. So,
Yikes.
The price it's never going to drop way back down.
No.
Anybody who thinks that's going to happen is just dumb. Because every single year we go through the same stupid little game where they claim, oh, well, I got to start making the more expensive summertime gas. So I've got to raise my prices. And they raise the prices up and then, oh, yeah, look, we dropped them back down. Well, the thing is, they raised them up 50 cents a gallon, then they dropped them down 25 cents a gallon. That's got nothing, just for you people out there, oh, it's Bidenomics. It's got nothing to do with Biden. They've been doing this crap since I was, just starting to drive. So, and then it comes to the fall, and we got to start making the more expensive wintertime gas. Okay, but you just said that the summertime gas is more expensive. Oh, no. So they do the same thing. Raise it 25 cents and then drop it 10. Oh, look, we dropped the price of gas. No.
Wow.
You dropped it from the high, but you didn't drop it back down to where it was. So, the price of gas is never truly going to go down. So something like an e-bike was, it was a really good idea as far as I could tell. Because, if you're looking at, I was like, well, maybe I'll get an electric car or something like that just for commuting. No, the cheapest one is like $20,000. And granted, you can get a used one, but, how well was the battery cared for? How many miles does the battery have on it? You don't know. So I'm just like, I'm like really close. The thing holding me back is the $2,000 price tag. And then what happens if somebody does say, hey, you can't ride that? Okay, here's your ticket. How much is the ticket going to be?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm really debating,
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe something will happen financially and I'll get like an electric motorcycle and not have to worry about it. I don't know. But the problem with an electric motorcycle is it comes with the fact that, charging, I don't know if you can just plug it into a standard outlet or if you have to have a charger installed, which adds to the cost. And then, of course, with a motorcycle versus a bicycle, you have to have insurance and registration. So, there's some additional costs, but even a cheap electric motorcycle is still $7,000 to $10,000. It's hard to make that cost up. You're talking 2 years for $2,000, 7 years, or $7,000. You're talking 3 times that, so 6 years.
Yikes!
But the thing is, with a motorcycle, you're not going to be able to ride that year round.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of kills that, which means you're extending it because you're only going to get 3 or 4 months out of it. Every year, so. Yeah, well.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so. Back to the drawing board there.
Oof.
Yeah. For now, it's just drive the car, but I don't know.
Yep.
I foresee them requiring a 3rd day before too long. Which will really suck, but yeah, well. All right, so last topic that I've got here.
All right, what's this one?
The eclipse coverage.
What about it?
So, everybody who's watched any television coverage at all, and I'm not talking coverage on the eclipse, I'm talking, if you've watched television, you've known about the eclipse, and they've done thousands and thousands of hours of talking about the eclipse. And, one thing that really annoys the crap out of me is this whole, it's a once in a lifetime. And I'm just like, no.
Once in a lifetime for this area.
Yeah, for this exact track, yes, once in a lifetime.
Yeah, I think that might be what they mean.
Yeah, but, even in 2079, when the next one's supposed to come through New York State or whatever, across the country the way this did, it's still not going to be the exact same path. But whatever. So at any rate, they were going on and on and on talking about it. And, they kept, it's such an emotional thing. I'm like, how is it emotional?
Okay, yeah, that's...
And then...
I don't get it.
And then this one idiot said it's such a mysterious event. Oh, wait a minute.
No, the fuck it's not.
It's not mysterious at all. I mean, we know the patterns of everything as far as the Earth's orbit, the moon's orbit around the Earth, and the Earth's orbit around the sun. We know all that shit. That's why if you search it, you go out there and search right now for eclipse paths or, places where you can see totality. They can tell you. And that's why they can tell you that in 2079 it's going to come through the very similar path as what it did the other day. So I'm like, how is it a freaking mystery, you moron? But, then they're going on afterwards and they're just making shit up to talk about it. And I'm like, all right, it happened 4 hours ago. Move on. The local news is a 90-minute thing. I would say...
Which is way too long.
Yeah, I would say probably about an hour's worth of that coverage was about the eclipse. And I'm like, okay, so nothing else happened, just the eclipse. Got it.
Absolutely nothing.
And then, the national news. They had coverage for the national stuff, all day. And then the national news, which, is a 30-minute show, they talked about it for 15 minutes. Short. 15 minutes they talked about this. I'm like...
15 entire minutes.
Do you people really have nothing else to do? Nothing else happened in the world other than the freaking eclipse?
Nothing.
Oh my God.
Absolutely nothing.
I was reading, or not reading. I actually, no, it wasn't reading. It was on, I think it was on one of the morning shows over the weekend. They were talking about it. There's apparently a plane that you could book a flight on, and the whole purpose of the plane, or the whole purpose of this flight, was to follow the eclipse so that you could see it multiple times. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And then they were talking to this photographer who got some, amazing shot on a flight like that with the last major eclipse. He got a really amazing shot, and of course he was taking it out a window and everything. And he was 2 minutes in totality during that. And in that 2 minutes, he got 1,200 pictures.
Wow.
And I'm like, yikes. So this time, he wasn't flying on one of those. He got a private jet.
Oh, fancy.
And they were going to follow it longer. And I'm like, oh my God.
That seems unnecessary.
Yeah, he got an amazing picture. They showed it. And I will admit, it was an amazing picture, but I can't imagine the cost that he, for a private plane, I can't imagine the cost and what he spent for that. And he's probably only, it's moving fast. It's not like it's, going slow, even when you're flying in the plane. It's still moving really fast, so he might get like 5 or 10 minutes worth of photos out of it. And all I can think is, yeah, that's just not worth it.
No.
Was it cool? Yeah, what I could see, it was kind of cool, but, am I going to be somebody who's chasing these things?
There was a cloud problem, though, so you couldn't really see anything.
Exactly. And that's what kills me with all these people, because, this small city in...
New York State, everybody.
Yeah.
When something interesting happens, it's cloudy.
It wasn't just New York. And truthfully, a little bit farther north, like Watertown and Sackett's Harbor, I think it was, they supposedly had fairly clear skies. And the on Facebook, the New York Outdoor Photography group that I'm in, there were plenty of people who had clear skies for pictures. But the thing that I always thought about, because this small city, in northern New York, Watertown. All of their rooms were booked for the entire weekend 2 months ago. And then Oswego, another small city in New York, all of their rooms were booked a month ago. And all I can think is, you people just spent a whole buttload of money to fly there, rent these rooms, because both cities, apparently, you can't just rent a room for one night. You have to stay at least 2 nights. So all of these people, they've got all of this stuff booked. And they're just going to lose out because, well, it's cloudy. Like, I couldn't imagine spending that money. Probably $2,000. Because half of them, they're going to have to rush home right afterwards because they're going to have to work on Tuesday.
Yep.
And all I can think is, wow, I wish I had money to spend like that.
Yep.
Yeah, well. Alright, folks, it wasn't quite as short as I thought it was going to be, but I'm sure you heard that music starting up in the background.
Good night.
We'll see ya.